Hello and welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, and this is Streaming Idiots. Yes, if you want to come get marginal information about streaming, this is the place to go. This is the place where you know that whatever information we provide to you, you darn well better test it before you use it, because it may not be worth anything. Now that we've got that disclosure out of the way, we can tell you all the good stuff. I tell you what, I am so excited about today's show. Number one, we have got a kick-butt guest in Jason Fulbrook from Switchboard Live, and I don't want to steal any of his thunder, so we're going to get to him in just a second. But there are a couple of things that you've got to know. Number one, this week, was it this week? Yeah, I think it was this week. If it was this week, maybe it was just this weekend or something. The new the Windows 10 anniversary update became available. And you remember last Tuesday was when the free Windows 10 upgrade ended. And I decided at, maybe 11:30 that night that I was going to go ahead and bite the bullet. Remember, I went to Windows 10 once before and it didn't do well, and I had to reinstall Windows 7. I couldn't just revert back. I had to reinstall. It was that bad. And so I decided, okay, I'll go Windows 10. I'll do the update. And started it, that night. It bombed out, didn't work. So I thought, well, okay, there you go. I've missed the free update window. I'm going to have to pay for it. So I just tried it again. But apparently somehow I got grandfathered in and got it, and was able to do last week's show with it. And that went pretty well. And then this anniversary update came around. I thought, I've heard some good things about this. Some people have said that they felt they could feel the extra horsepower in their PC with the Windows 10 anniversary update. So I thought, well, let's go ahead and do it. Why not live dangerously? And so I did it last night. Don't ever do this right before you're going to do a broadcast. I promise you, it will screw up 50% of the time. So, if the feed suddenly disappears right now, if things just go black, whoops, no, I'm teasing. That was me going black. If things go black, that you want that to happen while you're testing, in that testing phase, not while you're in a production phase. And that's why I do it right before production, so that when it screws up, you understand, the consequences. And what was it? We had something go bad in a couple of shows ago for something I had done. Anyway, don't install an update the day before the show or the morning of a show. Now, Windows 10 doesn't make it easy to turn off all the updates. Apparently you can turn off the ability to install them, but you still have to download them, whether you want to or not. I'm trying. If you know how to turn that off, let me know, because I'd like to do that. I don't want something downloading right when I'm starting a broadcast. I was working on something Monday on a PC that I hadn't used in a while, and I needed to be able to do something right away. I turned it on, and it just bogged down immediately. Found out that it wasn't Windows that was updating. It was my Dropbox. Dropbox was getting all that crud that I'd thrown in the Dropbox for the days and weeks before, and this PC hadn't been used for a while, and so I was able to turn it off and then go do what I needed. But keep in mind that things are going to happen like that are going to take you by surprise. So try to avoid it when you can. Two other announcements. Well, one announcement, one tip. First of all, there is a exclusive vMix edition that's going to be released maybe in the fall. It might even be as late as Christmas, but it will be given. Only one person can receive it, and it will be actually given to them. It's the vMix Diamond Edition, and it will be an exclusive edition. You will be the only person in the whole world that will ever have it. And the way to get it is to watch the vMix Fun Time live show, because they have some keywords that you have to email to them. Now, if you missed the first one, go to YouTube, find the vMix channel there and go back and watch the July show. The August show will probably be coming up at the end of August because they just moved offices and they're putting their new studio together. So it's going to take them a while to get that going. So that's the vMix Diamond Edition, very exclusive. In fact, Martin Sinclair, the proprietor at vMix, said that he's always wanted an edition of vMix that's so exclusive that not even his employees can use it. That's my kind of guy right there. Anyway, keep watching; it'll be fun, and they have a lot of fun with that. The last thing I want to mention is let's talk just briefly about upload speeds. People are telling me, we had a great chat in the chat room before the show, and we were comparing notes about upload speeds, and I was complaining because yesterday I had 9 megs up and 9 megs down, and today it went back to 80 megs down and 22 megs up. But really, those numbers are false numbers, and you got to be careful, especially if you're going to do a gig and you're using internet that somebody else is going to let you use, and they say, "Oh yeah, I've got 10 gigs up, no problem." Well, 10 gigs up. Let me bring in this graphic. 10 gigs up is, it fluctuates. It can fluctuate 10, 20% during the course of a minute. So if you've got, that's why the rule is, if you're going to be on the conservative side, the rule is that you say, okay, if you've got 10, then you don't want to use any more than 5, because you're gonna definitely have some ebb and flow of this stuff. It's just not going to be as consistent as the one magic number. So remember that the internet's going to fluctuate. Sometimes it's going to drop down below half. I was talking with the MediaCom guy that I have media cable internet here, and he said, that they guarantee 50% of what they promise. He didn't really say it like that, but that was the essence of it. They guarantee 50% of what they promise. So if I'm paying for something and I'm only getting half of it, well, that's okay. If I get less than half, they'll give me a credit. But the standards are pretty not in our favor. So give yourself some margin, give yourself some buffer, and make sure that you don't pay attention. Well, you don't want that number, that's for sure. But you want to be careful with that. Okay, so we got all that good stuff out of the way. Now let's get down to the good stuff. You remember back on June 22nd, we had Rudy Ellis, the CEO of Switchboard Live here. Now, Switchboard Live, those are the folks that came out with the Joicaster product. Joicaster is that really cool software as a service that allows you to send them one stream, and they'll turn around and restream your one stream to beaucoup other CDNs. Now, it could be free places like YouTube or Ustream or StreamUp, or, there's a list of free places. Or, excuse me, it could also be paid CDNs, CDNs that you actually have subscriptions for. And they have added to that stable. And so let's bring in our guest today. Our guest today is Jason Fulbrook, and he is the Director of Digital Growth. Jason, let me get your mic up here, and welcome to the show. Glad to have you on. Oh, golly, did I kill his mic? Jason, are you there? There we go. There we are. Okay, it wasn't my mistake. Yay. Welcome. Glad to have you.
How you doing, guys?
So, Jason, tell me, what does a director of digital growth do?
My role at Switchboard is really responsible for understanding what the business is doing, where we go from a technology standpoint, and how we start to communicate that, partner with people, and integrate with all these different technologies. So when we work with hardware, or we're working with one of the destinations, or just even the different technologies that are involved in making this happen. It's bringing it all together under one little idea, so everyone can understand it, use it, and grow with it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So you're the one that went and negotiated with YouTube and Ustream and those other bad boys to do the restream thing?
That's definitely part of it for sure.
Ha! Wow. Wow. That is so cool. So you guys just recently added an extra feature to that whole service. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we've been working with Facebook to be able to not only provide an integrated solution with them, which is in many different areas, but one of the things that's different with Facebook is that when they first launched it, they had several different rules on what you could do. Duration, you can only stream for 2 hours. You could only, when you stream to Facebook, you can only stream to Facebook. And other things like that, that made it, though the release of Facebook was super exciting and extremely powerful to creators, producers, and just different publishers of all different kinds. But what we do is the syndication approach. Like you said, Tom, being able to take one video feed that's coming in and being able to connect to many different destinations. And so what we were really working with them is not only to get access to be able to do streaming, but also be able to make sure that our integration is very tight and reliable, which is something that's very, very, very different from some technologies that have integrated with Facebook and even other platforms like YouTube, just by way of their API. So making sure that that was very tight, but also talk with them about who our customers are, how people used our technology, and creatively say, I get it, you're Facebook, you have 1,000 requests that are coming in, but if we can do this together and understand what we're doing, I think you'll see that this is what our creators, this is what our producers, this is what our publishers are looking for. Let's get creative and make it happen. So that's really what we've been focusing on to be able to do. So all of that to say, we now have our Facebook Live integration. It's very easy to use. You authenticate right into it. Even if you have to manage multiple Facebook accounts, you're able to go in and connect that. Once you are linked to Facebook with those accounts, you'll never have to log into it again, and then be able to syndicate to all those different channels as well.
Wow. Wow. All right. Now you said Facebook accounts. Does that also mean that you can do multiple Facebook pages?
Yeah. So one of the customers that we've been working with this week is Disney. And Disney, when you think of a place from a publisher standpoint, they have many different types of properties. So if you think about it, when they release a Facebook page, right, they may make one. They had a movie, Finding Dory, that came out over the summer. So they have a Finding Dory, but then they also have a Finding Dory page, and then they have a Nemo, and then they have all of these types of characters that are involved with it, and all of them come together under one idea, the Disney company. But then also they come together differently based upon the movie or whatever the piece of story that they're trying to share. So what gets shared on Dory's page is different than what's shared on Nemo's page. All of that to say, yes, being able to send video when you're telling a story about those to all those different channels are very important, because I may really like Nemo, but I may not like Dory, or maybe I've never even thought about it. And so when you have these different subscribers that go to these channels, they say, yes, give me more information. The big thing about it is the way that we kind of communicate it to Facebook and different organizations that we work with. We say, we understand that they are your community. Each channel is its own community. They talk to each other differently. They're excited about things differently. And so we want to be able to make sure that our creators can be able to engage with all of their communities and not be limited no matter where they're sending it. So that's one of the big things that we've been working on with Facebook.
Cool. Wow. I think just last week, and in fact, that's what prompted me to try to get you guys on this week. But just last week, I set up an experiment where I streamed directly to 4 different Facebook pages at the same time. So I'm using 4 streams worth of bandwidth, 4 720 streams to 4 Facebook pages. Now it worked. It took me 2 PCs, vMix going on 2 on one and vMix going 2 on the other. But I could see where this would be so much easier. So you're saying I can put in all my credentials one time, and then I just choose that. What do you call it with you guys? Is it called a profile, or
it's a profile. We determine as a destination is what we do. It's just whether it's Facebook destination 1 or 2. And where that becomes really important from an administrative standpoint is when you are, I'll give you a case in point, with Disney. So they have an administrator who's actually just the operator for the physical event. And he has to, the way that Facebook does their integration, you log in with your own ID, and then you have to get access as an admin to each of the different channels. And so what happens is when you try to authenticate to that, you have to go ahead and connect to multiple destinations, but you have to authorize each of those different spots, right? Or each of those different channels that you want to be able to connect to. So what happens in this case is that not only from a security standpoint can someone who's managing these channels, social media person, just a different admin, depending on the roles, are able to do it. But once you're connected, you can actually then unauthenticate, right, a person's access to the channel to post or publish, except for if they're going to do that through the physical app by way of video streaming. So it's just an additional layer of security, because when you're a publisher, the value of these communities are far greater than, one mistype, can have a massive impact, right?
Right. Oh, that's cool. Okay. So that's Facebook.
Yep.
That's what you have done.
Yep.
Now, don't give away any trade secrets, of course, but tell us a little bit about the roadmap from here forward for Switchboard Live.
Yeah, so one of the big reasons, and Rudy shared this on the last podcast that he was on, or broadcast, is that, the change from Joicaster to Switchboard. And one of the big reasons for that is Joicaster's real idea was to be able to connect multiple destinations together. But the thing about that is that we've learned by, experiencing all of these broadcasts that we do and being able to get everything together, that there are other things that are a part of the workflow that are really important beyond just the syndication. And so that was really the reason for, the shift to Switchboard, the idea of being able to connect anything in and be able to get it to go anywhere. And so what we have coming up, it's actually slated for Q4 release, end of Q3, end of Q4. We're really looking at about around the October timeframe. We're going to be releasing what we call Switchboard Cloud. And Switchboard Cloud is going to be the primary product that we have, and we're breaking that down into different tiers. We're going to have our creators tier, which is really meant for individuals or professionals like yourself, Tom, that are broadcasting, doing things like this. We're going to have our producer tier that is meant for more specific or more advanced workflows and being able to do that. And with that, what you're going to be able to do is manage multiple inputs that are coming in, going to multiple destinations, be able to have teams of people that can manage a specific syndication. So be able to also to be able to record, archive, publish your video to different destinations, be able to serve on demand, out of it, and also be able to, have that functionality where You're going to all these destinations. What happens when you have a team that needs to work on it? Well, there may be the role of an admin, there may be a role of an operator. Well, their functionality is very different than the role of a producer or someone who is responsible for monitoring their event, or maybe even a social media marketer. And so what we're doing with this is actually expanding that out, giving each of them different roles and functions, and then the ability to be able to understand what's going on. So not only be able to see our likes and dislikes that you have on each of the channels, but also to be able to see how the overall trend of that information is with all of your social reach, being able to have all of that contained inside of a single platform. And then there's also some production stuff that we're working on. That'll be more towards the beginning part of next year. But the ability to be able to, now that you have all of these inputs and you have them going to all these different destinations, what other fun stuff can we cook up? And so that's really where, Joicaster has evolved into cloud. And Switchboard as a technology is, as you guys may have gone to our website, we really are taking the approach of being Switchboard, we're how you do live.
My mind is just racing with all the possibilities of what you just said, where, one of the applications, and help me steer me on the path if I get off the path. But let's say that I have a company that is responsible for streaming a dozen different sporting events on a Friday night, American football. And so I can stream them to you, and then I can pick and choose, and then I can create a show that goes and taps into each one of those at any point during the course of the game for a live report, and or bringing in the clips from the different broadcasts afterwards. Is that where we're talking about? It takes,
absolutely.
Old people like me, Jason, it takes us a while to absorb new technology and understand it. So you have to kind of break it down into bite-sized, our teeth aren't real good, so you have to break it down into bite-sized chunks so that we can digest it well.
Sure. You're totally on point. The idea is to be able to, if the idea of Joicaster was taking one stream in to be able to connect to multiple destinations, the idea with Switchboard is to be able to take multiple streams in and be able to send it to multiple destinations, and then everything else you need to do in being able to manage, understand, and produce live content.
Awesome. And of course, you already have customers that want this. I mean, you're not just building something hoping that somebody might.
No, this is not only, I think, just from an industry standpoint, something that is paramount, but also I think from an opportunity standpoint, there's several different organizations, whether they are, we find it, whether or not I am, an individual that's just broadcasting content online, to a big publisher. They're looking for the same thing, because it's not just, like we were talking about at the beginning, right? It's not just about, the value of, now we have Facebook. It's like, I have Facebook, I have multiple Facebooks. It is, I also have YouTubes, I have multiple YouTubes, and then, and then beyond that, right? So being able to, do that, and manage that is something that's, very important.
Awesome. Sorry. I can't wait to hear some case studies of folks that are using this, especially not. I am supremely proud of you guys for hooking big fish like Disney, but I'm not Disney. I know that's going to shock some folks, but I'm not Disney. And most of our viewers today are not Disney. They might be. I can tell Rich is on the way. But I want to. I guess what I want to be able to hear is, if you've got a top tier client, I want to hear what some middle to lower tier clients, how they're using that technology, because I think that's going to spur a lot of viewers to this show and say, oh, okay, I get it now. We can do this many in, this many. Okay, yeah, good.
Yeah,
I'm loving it.
a great example is, as an operator, one of the big things is you have your source side, right? So I have to take all of my, equipment in, right? The fact is that now, right, if you're doing events or you're being able to resource that for, different customers that you're supporting, the big thing about it is now what you're able to do is be able to tie an encoder right to a specific input. And then from an operator standpoint, that can go and field to anybody, right? Now I have an input or a workflow that's set up that says when I take encoder 1 and I want to use that encoder 1 to be able to go to this channel lineup that's already done, boom, I can schedule that content, distribute that. Well, if I have encoder 1, 2, and 3 that needs to do the same thing, that's important. But one of the other things that's really interesting about what we're doing from a design standpoint with cloud is the ability to have multiple users that are accessing this account. I'll go back to the example of if I'm an admin, my role is different from an operator, and my role is different from a social media person, any sort of marketer, and then a different role from a client as well. Well, how many times when you're working with a client, they go, well, how many likes? What was the impact? What was the influence? The ability now is that, we can go ahead and we can get and provide views for all of those people. And you can give that to a client. A client can then look at that and you don't have to worry about them at all going in and pushing the dreaded red button that they have no idea that they should or should not be pushing, right? So that is something that is also a part of it. Bringing information and understanding to every event. And I think that is, as a streamer, as a broadcaster, this is something that, I've done for, almost 15 years. So through the transition of, video streaming from, the 90s to what it is today, everyone is always asked the question of, well, how'd it go? What was the influence? What was the impact? What could we do better? How do we optimize? Why do we do this? And how do we hone then what our audience not only is looking for, but how can we maximize that engagement, right? And so those are the big things that are a part of it as well. And that is for everybody from a gamer to the biggest publishers on the planet.
Wow. Awesome. Well, I'm excited for you guys, and I can't wait to see how this is going to unfold. Cool.
It's pretty exciting stuff. We're looking forward to it. We've been working on it really hard. Hours of just crunch, build, dev, and everything that goes into it.
Neat. Well, Jason, thank you so much for taking time out to be on the show and talk about this today. I hope you'll hang out for a second because I think the guys would like to chat with you and ask some special questions in the chat room.
Absolutely.
But we're gonna fade out into the tail end of our show here. Thank you for watching. If you're watching us on YouTube, the archive, we hope you'll subscribe. A little bit of housekeeping here. Full disclosure, I am a reseller for vMix and VidBlaster and Magwell and PTZ Optics. So if you need anything in those brands, we would be happy to help you. We also have a special deal on PTZ Optics cameras, and I know this sounds like one of Tom's jokes, but it really is true. If you buy 10 PTZ cameras, you get one free. Now you say, Tom, I don't need 11 PTZ cameras. Well, here's how it works. We're putting together a kind of a buyer's group because we can get special pricing from PTZ Optics if we hit that 10 mark. So if you're interested in a PTZ camera or know somebody that is, shoot me an email. We'll get you in the group and figure out what options you want, all that kind of stuff. And we're beginning to get our numbers. So you might be the number that puts us over the top. And the way it'll work is that we'll end up buying 11, well, I guess we could just buy 10. Anyway, it'll work out at about a 10% discount, but don't tell anybody because we're not allowed to give discounts on that kind of stuff. So that's coming up. And if you're interested, if you can't wait for something like that, then shoot me an email. We'll shoot you a PTZ Optics camera right now. We won't charge you for shipping. That's the special. We'll say that the new vMix mouse pads are up, and if you would like one, send a note to I want a mouse pad at vmix.com, and they will send you one. It's that simple. From anywhere in the world, I want a mouse pad at vmix.com, and they will do that. So I think that's all my notes here. Yep. So if you're watching us live, hang around for the post-show. Apparently Jerry was the last one here, so he's bringing refreshments to post-show. Jerry, you better get started making those refreshments right now. But thanks for watching. We'll be back again next week with more great stuff about streaming. So stay tuned. We'll see you then.